young, ambitious political appointee charged with vetting job applicants aims to populate the land's most powerful law enforcement agency with hires cast in her own pious but not exactly honest image. Anti-abortion, against same-sex marriage, blindly loyal to President Bush. Our third story in the countdown. If it sounds like she broke the law in doing that, her boss's successor acknowledging today she did, but he still won't prosecute. Not Monica Goodling nor her Bible-thumping associates will suffer consequences as criminals. Attorney General Michael Mukasey, in a speech to the American Bar Association, saying they were in violation only of civil service laws. Quote, where there's evidence of criminal wrongdoing, we vigorously investigate it, and where there is enough evidence to charge someone with a crime, we vigorously prosecute, but not every wrong or even every violation of the law is a crime. Mukasey, brought in by President Bush after Alberto Gonzales left after his own human resources debacle, adding this to the list of investigative and punitive actions he has not taken, but he insisted as a general matter in such cases where disciplinary referrals are appropriate, they are made. As for the scandal at hand, to put it in concrete terms, I doubt that anyone in this room would want to trade places with any of those people. Time to call in Jonathan Turley, professor of constitutional law at George Washington University. John, thanks for your time tonight.
Hi, Keith.
Well, why wouldn't I want to trade positions with Monica Goodling? I mean, she got to break the law and then hear today from the Attorney General that she gotten away with it.
Well, you know, the Attorney General would have had a lot more credibility if he actually prosecuted government officials on occasion. He said that he would not prosecute what is defined as a war crime in a case of torture. He would not prosecute on the electronic surveillance crimes. He has prevented investigations where he says that he vigorously investigates. He has been standing in the way of investigations. And now he's sort of putting forward an Elmer Fudd defense that, you know, I'd be a lot better hunter if the varmints weren't so fast. I mean, he's just saying, you know, they got away, and what can I do about that? But the problem is that his record speaks volumes about what his philosophy, if there is such a thing, is really about. And he is not prosecuting government officials, and I'm afraid he's doing it without principle.
And there's another whopper from the Attorney General in here buried under that no prosecution headline, talking about whether or not any of the Goodling hires would be reassigned, would be dismissed. Two wrongs don't make a right. That is a brilliant legal-minded action. I'm awestruck to watch that. Why didn't he say, don't cry over spilled milk?
Well, there's also that ditty of better late than never.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I don't necessarily disagree with him in terms of the line DOJ employees. I think it would be unfair to toss them all out, even though some of them may have credentials that were less than stellar than the people that were applying for the jobs. But my concern is with the immigration judges. I mean, it's clear that the standards used to select those judges were not based on the merits and were often based on their political alliances and associations. Those are people rendering decisions over the lives of others. It seems to me rather cavalier to say, well, you know, that's just water under the bridge.
When Mukasey came in to succeed Alberto Gonzales, many people expressed hope. He was just too much of a jurist, his record suggested, to be another Bush hack. I'm sorry, if it wasn't official before, isn't it official as of today? Isn't he just another Bush hack?
Well, I do think that Mukasey is an example of why it is so dangerous when senators like Senator Schumer and Senator Feinstein protected him from having to answer a question on torture. I think that he shows the Senate that they have to demand answers to these questions. What he said at first was he didn't know what waterboarding was, which was not exactly credible. And then he said that he'd have to answer the question later, which he never did. And I think that it's not fair to call him a sycophant like, you know, Alberto Gonzales, but he is a remarkable cynic. That is, he seems to believe that he has the discretion not just to prosecute, but to define what crimes are. No one's having a trouble defining what torture is or the violation of electronic surveillance laws. Those were already defined by federal courts. But he is treating himself as the sole decision maker and the person who will define those crimes. And in so doing, he's making a wonderful argument for reinstating the Independent Counsel Act.
All right, one more while we have you, John. The federal appeals court ruling today on the dismissal of the Wilson Plains civil lawsuit against various key administration figures, it has been upheld. There is no lawsuit right now. Do you concur?
You know, I don't agree with everything in that decision. I said it when it was filed that I thought it was unlikely that it would succeed. It was a bit of a stretch, but I felt that the court was wrong on critical points. By the way, the vice president lost a major issue when he claimed this was all a political question, and even Judge Santel, who's quite conservative, said that's just ridiculous. But I think the problem here, and it goes back to the Independent Counsel Act, is it shows that there is no independent basis to protect people like Plum. She was done proven wrong. And what happened to her was, in fact, at least for many people, a cognizable crime, but it was certainly a violation of public policy. And even the George Bush's closest aides have said that he broke his word. And he said he would fire those responsible. And when they turned out to be, the facts turned out to incriminate both his vice president and his closest aide, he simply forgot about that promise. Well, it comes back to this. We have seen now over and over again the refusal of this administration to allow juries and grand juries to look at questions. And the question now is, do we need to interject an independent body like the independent counsel again?
Because we have cut down that safety net. Jonathan Turley of George Washington University. As always, John, great thanks.
Thanks, Steve.